Now, since we have learned how to define functions, let's do some output questions related to functions. Okay, so you see an output question on your screen. Okay? You can ignore lines 2 to 9 because they're all body of the function. And we have learned that the function doesn't get executed unless and until you don't call the functions. So let's start with the main part of the program. So when I come to the main part of the program, what do I see? A comma B comma X comma Y is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what do I mean by that? In the main scope, or this is called the global scope, okay? So because it is not a part of any function, you have a global scope. In the global scope, how many variables are created? A, and A's value is 1. You have another variable created, B, and B's value is 2. You have another variable X, which is equal to 3, and Y, which is equal to 4. So I have directly started from the main part of the program, and the main part of the program constitutes the global scope. So I have global variables A, B, X, Y with values 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what exactly happens on the next line? Line number 12 is a call to a function named as fun. Okay, so you're calling the function named as fun. When you call a function, what happens? What is your actual parameter? The first actual parameter is 50. The value 50 is passed on to your first variable, which is X. And what is my second parameter, actual parameter? 100. 100 is passed on to variable Y. So what exactly happens now? Now I have left the main part of the program and I have reached the function. Okay, so let's see what happens in the function. So this is the local scope for which function? For a function named fun. And let's see what happens in the function named fun. You had variables x and variables y. What did x get? The first value that you passed to it. So x gets the value 50. And you had variable y gets the value 100. Okay, fine. Then when I enter into the function, that's at line number 3, it says global A. Now what does this line mean? We have learned about this when we learned the concepts in this chapter. When in a function you say global A, it means the A that you're using in that function is not a local A for that function, but it is referring to the global A. I repeat, when you write global A and then write in the next line, you can see A is equal to 10. This A is equal to 10 is not a local variable for function fun, but it is referring to the global variable. And what is happening there? It is making the global variable 10. Now, where do I see the global variable? Global variable is somewhere here. So what is happening there? It is going and making the global variable's value as 10. Okay, fine. After that, the line in the function says x comma y is equal to y comma x. Now what does this line mean to us? X comma y is equal to y comma x only means that you are exchanging or swapping the values of x and y. Now which x and y? Obviously we are in the function, so the variables that belong to the function. So what were the values of x and y in the function? One was 50, the other was 100. So x comma y is equal to y comma x is just swapping their values. So this becomes 100 and x becomes 50. Okay, so I have the values of x and y being swapped. Okay, then there is a line that continues in the program which says b is equal to 20. So I have made b is equal to, b is equal to 20. The next line says b is equal to 30. So basically what is happening, this value 20 is overwritten by value 30. So b's value is nothing but 30. Okay. Next line says you have another variable called c, again local in the function c, which gets the value 30. So c is also 30. Now, the first print statement, that means the first output I am going to get is because of the print statement that I see here. And what is this? So let me just roughly write the output here. Okay. So it is saying print the value of A. What's the value of A? Now we are in this function. Does this function have an A of its own? No. But can a function access global variables? Yes. So A here refers to the global variable A. And if you see in the global scope, the variable A has value 10. Then it says display the value of B. Now remember, we are in the function. So I'm going to be displaying the B that is in the function. So B's function functions variable B has value 30. Then it says display C. C is also having value 30. And it says display, sorry, it didn't say display C. It said display X and display Y. So what's the X in this function? 100. And what is the Y in the function? 50. So the first output displayed to me is 10, 30, 100 and 50. Okay. And then what did we learn? When we are done with the function, when we end the function, it goes back to the location from where it was called. So it goes back to line number 13. And line number 13 now says print A. Now remember, line number 13 does not belong to the function. It belongs to the main part of the program, the global space. So when I say print A, it is all these variables that it's talking about. It's going to be taking from the global scope. Because remember, once we leave a function, all the variables that were created in the function, their lifetime is over. So they are no more in memory. You can't access X, Y, B and C that belonged to that function. A, because A was not created in that function, it still is in memory in the global scope. So now it says print A. Print A, what's the value of A I see is 10. Print B, B is nothing but 2. Print X, X in the global scope is nothing but 3. And print Y, Y in the global scope is 4. So this is the output of this particular program, okay, our evaluation. Now let's see what Spider would give us when I execute this program. Okay, so let me just execute the program. Yes, you have seen here 10, 30, 10, 150, 10, 2, 3, 4. And that's exactly what we have got in our program also. So is that clear? So what I want to put in important thing into your mind here is you had A, you had B, you had X, and you had Y in the global scope. So that was in memory in the global scope. In the function, you had B, you had X, you had Y. That was the function scope. But A was common both to the function's local scope as well as the global scope because the function did not create a variable called A within it. But if I had not written the line global A, then the line A is equal to 10 would mean I am creating a local variable A in the function fun. Then I was not referring to the global A, I would be referring to the local A. I hope this function, this output question was clear with you. Let's look at another output question. Okay, so ignore the function completely because we will get into the function once the function is called. Let's come to the main part of the program. There is a string variable named as SMS and it has the message report me. Okay, but mind you, keep track of the cases. Some are capital and some are small. Okay, on line number 15, can you see a statement which says print and then secret? Secret is nothing but the name of my function. So I'm calling the function in a print statement. So what does that mean? That when the function is called and when the function returns an answer, that has to be directly printed. So I'm not storing the answer in a variable, but I'm calling the function in the print statement. So the function secret gets called. Secret function does a couple of tasks. After it finishes doing the task, it is going to be returning something, and that value which it returns is supposed to be displayed directly by the print statement. Is that clear? Okay, so the function secret is being called. SMS is being passed on to MSG. So what exactly is happening in the program is as follows. Okay, you have a variable named as SMS which had the value okay, which had the value report me. Okay, so you had a variable named as SMS which had the value report me, and that SMS value you are passing on to the formal parameter MSG. So what is MSG having? The string report me. Okay, so I'm just repeating here, but I'll be leaving a little space. I'll tell you why. So I have R, then I have E, then I have capital P, O, R, capital T, small m, and E. Okay, so this is the message that has been passed from the main part of the program to MSG. So MSG has this. Now I will tell you why I actually, made a gap between the elements is because just to tell you that we have learned that in strings, each element in the string has an index number associated with it. So the index number of R is 0, this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I just wanted to write the index number of each of those characters. That's why I left a little space so it's clearly visible. Okay. Then there is another formal parameter which is n. And what is the value of n? You are sending 7. Can you see SMS, 7? So you are sending the value 7 to n. Okay. Now I have reached the function. So I've come to line number 2. Formal parameters have received their values. MSG received the message report me, and n received the value 7. Now I get into the body of the function and I start executing the lines within the function. Okay, so now what is happening? In the function I see there is another variable MSG created which currently has nothing in it. Okay, it's an empty string. Fine. Now let's understand the next line, which is the for loop. For C in a range 0, len of MSG. Okay, what does that mean? What is length of MSG? MSG has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 characters. So range of 0 to 8. When you say 0 to 8 in a range function, the range function evaluates or gets you numbers from 0 to 7. And you have written for C in, which means C can get values from 0 to 7. Remember, a range function does not go till the end value. It goes up to 1 less than the end value. So the range function generated a list of values, which is going to range from 0 to 7. What does for C in range 0 to 7 mean? C is going to be having, this capital C is going to be having all these values. It will initially have 0, then 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But one at a time as it loops. So every looping circle, it is going to be taking one element and getting into the loop. Is that clear? Okay. So currently, now what is the value of C? The first time C gets value 0. Okay, so C gets value 0. When C gets value 0, you get into the loop and it's checking if 0 modulus 2, is it equal to 0? Yes, when you divide 0 by 2, the remainder is going to be 0 because 2 zeros are 0 and 0 minus 0 is 0. So you are going to get the remainder 0. So if the remainder is 0, the line is telling you MSG1 is equal to MSG1, sorry, this was MSG1, okay? So MSG1, so I'm coming to this slide. It says MSG1 is equal to MSG1. So what was there in MSG1? Nothing, empty string, plus MSGC. Now what's the value of C currently here? We just saw the value of C was 0. So what does MSG of 0 mean? The character at location 0. And what is the character at location 0 is nothing but R, correct? So I am going to be using, so MSG1 gets whatever is at MSG of 0, that's R, small r, plus, that means concatenated, plus always with strings does concatenation, plus concatenated with MSG of n. Now what is n's value currently? 7. So MSG of n is going to give me the value at the location 7, which is nothing but capital E. Okay, so MSG of 1, I'm repeating that line, it said MSG of 1 is equal to MSG of 1. MSG of 1 was nothing. To that nothing, concatenate MSG of 0 because currently C's value is 0. That is R. And to that, concatenate MSG of 7. And MSG of 7 is nothing but RE. Okay. After that, obviously, I will not be going into any of the elifs or else's. Okay, so let's, and then it goes to a line saying n is equal to n minus 1. So what exactly happens to n? Let me just change the color better. So what happens to n is n loses its value 7 and now it becomes 6. Okay, then I go back to the loop. So C had already taken the value 0. Now C takes value 1. Okay, so I get into, now C's value is 1. I get into the loop, it checks if 1 modulus of 2, is it equal to 0? That is 1 divisible by 2? 1 is not divisible by 2. So I go to the elif part. Elif part says MSG of C. Currently, what is the value of C? 1. So MSG of 1. What do you see at MSG of 1? Capital E. Is it upper? Yes, it is upper. So what are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be doing this line. What is this line telling you? To the MSG1 value, MSG is equal to MSG plus. So what does MSG currently have? R and E, this thing. To this, you are going to attach or concatenate MSG of C. What is C's value? We just saw 1. What is that MSG of 1? MSG of 1 is nothing but MSG of, let me see, MSG of C. So MSG of C, C is capital, MSG of C is capital E, and to capital E, we are going to be attaching the lower, MSG of C was capital E, and I had to convert it to lowercase. So to that, I'm attaching the converted value, which is nothing but small e. Okay, I don't go to the else part. I go to n is equal to n minus 1. When you say n is equal to n minus 1, n now becomes 5. Okay, I go back to the loop. C gets what value? C gets the value 2. I get into the loop. It's checking if 2 modulus of 2, is it equal to 0? Yes. So which line am I supposed to be executing? This particular line. What does it say? Whatever is at MSG plus. So R, capital E, small e, plus means attach. MSG of C, C's value is 2. So MSG of 2, what is that MSG of 2 is P. So you attach P. After attaching P, you're also supposed to be attaching MSG of N. N has become 5. What is at MSG of N? Nothing but T. So I'm supposed to be attaching a capital T. And I'm done with, I don't go to else if or the else part. I go back to decrement N. N has become 4. Okay. N has become 4. I go back to the for loop. C now gets the value 3. Is 3 divisible? Do I satisfy this condition? No. So I come to this condition. This condition is asking me to check if MSG of 3, what's MSG of C? 3, small letter O. Is it uppercase? No, it is not uppercase. So I come to this line. What is this line saying? To the current MSG1, you attach MSG of C. What is MSG of C? C's value is 3. MSG of C is nothing but small letter O, and then attach MSG of N. N is 4. What is at location 4 is R. So you attach small letter R. Okay. Then ignore your else part. Come to the N is equal to N minus 1 line. So now N minus 1 means N has now become 3. I go back to the loop. C gets the value 4. Is 4 divisible by 2? Yes. So it says to MSG, you attach MSG of C. So MSG of 4. What is that MSG of 4? We just saw it was R. And to that you attach MSG of N. N, mind you, is 3. So MSG of 3 means alphabet O. I don't go to the elif part, I don't go to the else part, I go and decrement n. N has now become, n is equal to n minus 1, so n has now become 2. Okay, go back to the for loop. For loop gives C the value 5. Is 5 divisible? Now I'm doing this line. Is 5 divisible by 2? No. Is the element at location 5? What is the element at location 5? This one. Is it a capital letter? Yes. So I'm coming and executing this line. This line says to the current MSG, you attach the lower of MSG of C. So what was C's value? 5. What is MSG of C having? Capital T. Lower it and attach it. So I lower it and I attach it. After that, decrement n. N becomes 1. Go back to the loop. C gets the value 6. Is 6 divisible by 2? Yes. Then you come to MSG, and to MSG you attach this part. So what is this part saying? MSG of C, that is MSG of 6. What is MS at MSG of 6? Alphabet M. And to that you also attach MSG of N. What is N's value? 1. So to that you attach MSG of N, which is nothing but capital E. Then I don't do the elif part, I don't do the else part, I decrement n, and now n has become 0. At the same time, I go back to the loop and C has got value 7. I come to the first if, checking if 7 modulus 2 is equal to 0. No, it's not. Then I'm checking, is the character at MSG of 7? What is the character at MSG of 7? It's a capital E. Is it uppercase? Yes. What does it tell you? To the current MSG1, you attach the lower of MSG of 7. And what is the lower of MSG of 7? Is a small e. And after that, I stop the loop because C has no more, though n will become n minus 1, which is n is going to become minus 1. But when I go back to the loop, there are no more values C should acquire. So in that scenario, I'm done with the for loop. The statement tells me return MSG1. So what's your MSG1? Is this whole thing that you see here. It's returned back to the print function. So when it's returned back to the print function, what will the print function do? Display that answer. And if you see, I've already executed it here earlier, and this is the answer that is displayed. And it's exactly matching with what we have done here. Is that clear? So this will take some time, but you just have to be careful about which element you are accessing, which if condition you satisfy, and what's the line after this. So remember, whenever you see MSG is equal to MSG plus, what does it mean? To the current message, you just keep concatenating. And remember, with strings, plus always means concatenation. So I was just joining in more characters and more characters depending upon whatever was the statement given there. Is that clear? I hope this is understood. Okay, now let's look at the third output question. Like I said, now in this question, how is it different from the other two? The other two questions had only one function. Here I have two functions. If you see, I have a function named as with def, and I also have a function named as control. But remember, we just ignore the functions as of now unless it is not called. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is this. Create a variable named as your num. Okay, so I'm going to be creating a variable, and the name of the variable is your num. Okay, and what's the value given to it? The value given to it is 20. Okay, after that, what is this line doing? This line, sorry, this line is calling the function named as your num. So what is function named as control. So what is happening in this scenario is as follows. Whatever is the value of your num is going to be given to a variable called my num. And my num belongs to which function? Control function. Okay, so let me just show that as well. So we are in the control function. There is a variable named as my num. And what does it get? The value that was passed from your num. So your num was 20. My num also becomes 20. The next line says, my num is equal to my num plus 10. So when you say my num is equal to my num plus 10, what exactly is happening? You are increasing the value of my num by 10. So this now becomes 30. So what's the value of my num? My num is 30. Okay. Other than that, what is the function doing? It's calling the function named as withdef, and it's passing my num to this variable called his num. Okay, so what is my num's value now? 30. 30 is being passed to the variable called his num of which function? The withdef function. So his num has got the value, okay? His num has got the value 30. Now you might say it's written there is equal to 40. When does that work? That's called default parameters. If you did not send any value to his num, then his num would get the value 40. But since you have sent a value to his num gets the value 30. Okay, so then after that, there is a for I in range. Let us just see, look at the range function. It says range 20 comma, his num is 30, 30 plus 1. So 20 comma 30 comma 5. What does the comma 5 say? That the range function, so in this scenario, the range function is going to be generating what numbers? 20, and because your step value is 5, it will generate 25 and it will generate 30. It cannot generate anything more than 30 because his num was 30, 30 plus 1 is 31. So you can only generate numbers which are multiples of 5 but less than 31. So range function is basically going to be generating values 20, 25 and 30. And what does that basically mean to me? That I can get these values, one of these values at a time. So initially, what's the value of I? Okay, so initially what will I get? I will get the value 20. It says print I. So when I print I, what's the value that I'm going to be printing? I'm showing you the output here. Okay, what is the value of I? I will be printing. The value of I is 20. And it says end is equal to comma. Normally end is a slash n, so you go to the next line. But it says no, just put a comma. Go back to the loop. What is the next value I gets? 25. Print I, so I is going to be 25. After that, put a comma. Then it says again go back to I gets the value 30, print I, so it prints 30 followed by a comma, and now I can't go back to the for loop because there's nothing more to be done. So I come to the next line which says print. Print is just doing nothing but bringing the cursor to the next line. Now I'm done with this function called withdef. So where will I return? Not back to the main program. I will be returning to line number 10. Why will I be returning to line number 10? Because it's from 10 that I have called the function. So I come back to 10. And if there were any more lines in that function called control, I would have executed it. Here, there are no more lines in the function called control. So from where was control called? Control was called from line number 13. So I return back to line number 13. Now when I return back to line number 13, the next line says call the function withdef. So now what is happening? Again, the withdef function gets called. Okay, so the calling is happening from here. Okay, it's calling the function withdef once again. But can you see? No parameters passed. No parameters passed means what? His num for the second time. Now remember, I'm just writing number 2 here for you to know it's second call. Okay, his num is going to be is not sent any values, so it continues to have the value 40. Now, what will the range function do, or what will I do? I will start at 20 and go up till 1 less than 40. So I will be 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. And we just saw what is the loop doing? Just printing the values of I. So it becomes easy. We don't have to actually go into the loop. So I know it's going to be displaying 20, 25, comma 30, because these are the values of I in the range function, 35, and it's going to be displaying 40. After displaying 40, the next line says print. Print says just move the cursor to the next line. Okay. Now from where was withdef called for the second call? For the second call, withdef was called from main. So I go back to main, and main is saying print number is equal to. So obviously I will have a message saying, please excuse my handwriting. I'm using the mouse to be writing with this. Okay, but I'm sure my handwriting is much better than some of the handwritings I have seen in my 20 years of career. Okay, anyways, so number is equal to your num. Was there any change to your num? No. So the answer is going to be number is equal to 20, and that's it. Now let's see whether it's actually going to give the same answer or no. It should. If we have done our calculations correct, it should. And we are sure, right, that we've done our calculations right. Yes. Otherwise, I know you would have corrected me. Okay, so let's run the program. It's 20, 25, 30. Yes, and we have done it. Okay, so this was our third program, and I hope you understood the entire working in the program. Okay. So now let's start with our fourth program. Again, we give the output of the following program segment, and we see a function named as FUN. But like I said, we'll not get into the function at all, because as of now, we know function is not going to be executed. You all know it very well now. So I've repeated it a couple of times. Okay. So then where does program execution start? Yes. What did you say? Yes. Line number 13. Okay. So program execution is going to start from line number 13. And what do I see on line number 13? There are certain variables created there. I have, so now this is my local or global scope. This is my global scope, okay, or global area. So in the global scope, the first variable created was A, and what's the value of A? It's given value 2. Then there is a variable B, and what is given to B? Value 5. And then we have variable C, and what's given to C? Variable 8. I hope I've taken down the values correctly. Okay, yes. Okay, so A is 2, B is 5, and C is 8. Okay, what is the line at line number 14 telling me to do? So at line number 14, there is a call to a function named as FUN. Now make a note of certain things, okay? Very, very interesting. I'll go a little slow. I'm calling the function named as FUN, and what is happening? The value of A is given to A. Okay, that is fine. Now both the A's are not the same. FUN will create an A of its own. The value of C is given to B. Okay, then what have you sent to C? You have sent nothing to the function C, and no issues, because function C already has a default value. Is that clear? So let's see what happens in the function's scope. Okay, in FUNC scope, you have variable A, and what value did it get? It got the value of the global A, which is nothing but 2. You had variable B, and what value did it get? The value of global C. And what was global C? What do we see global C here as? 8. So it gets the value, okay, so B gets the value 8. Okay, and what did you give? What did you send to C? Nothing. So nothing means C says no problem, I have a default value, so C gets the value 10. Now I enter into the function and start executing the lines of the function. It says A plus equals B. What does A plus equals B mean? A is equal to A plus B. So what is the value of A? 2. What's the value of B? 8. So A is equal to 2 plus 8, which is 10. And where am I storing it? In A. So A loses its value 2, and now it gets value, the new value, which is 10. And obviously which A? Because we are in the function and the function has an A of its own, obviously that A. But suppose the function didn't have an A of its own, then we'll be talking about the global A. Is that clear? Okay, then B plus equals to C. So B is equal to B plus C. So what is B? 8. C is 10. 8 plus 10 is nothing but 18. So B has become 18. Okay. Now the next line is very interesting. Okay. C multiplication or asterisk equals to B minus A. I would want to explain to you how is this evaluated. So C asterisk sign equals to B minus A. Okay, B minus A means, okay, be careful to what you see. C is equal to C multiplied by, but remember B minus A has to be, the RHS has to be evaluated first. Therefore, I put a bracket, B minus A. If you hadn't put the bracket, then you know what you would do? You would multiply C with B and then subtract the value of A. No, that is not what that shorthand operator means. Shorthand operator always says the left-hand side variable is repeated once again on the right-hand side, but then you have to first evaluate whatever is on the right-hand side. Is that clear? Okay, so this is the evaluation. So what do I need to do? I first need to do B minus A. What is B's value currently? 18. 18 minus A. What is 18 minus 10? 18 minus 10 is nothing but 8. And that has to be multiplied by C. So 8 into C's value is 10. 8 into 10 is nothing but 80. So what has happened is C has now become 80. Okay, C has now become 80. Okay, fine. Then now it says print A, B, C. So I'm just showing you the output a little here below so that I have some working columns there. Okay, print A, B, C. So what is A? A is 10. It says separator. Now remember one thing. By default, the separator is a space. That is why when you print multiple things, you get spaces in between. Here the separator is saying hash sign. So I put a hash sign. Then B is what? 18. Remember, I'm in the function. So don't look at A names. I mean name programs A, B, and C. 18 with a hash sign. And after that, the value of C. C is nothing but 18 with the hash sign. And once I finish printing, end will automatically take me, the parameter named as end is going to take me to the, what you say, the next line. Okay. When I'm done with the function, where will I come back? I come back to the line from where I was called. So I was called from at 14. I come back to 14 and now continue with the program. Now, before I continue, let me just see if I can erase some working. Okay, I need this to be erased and this to be erased. Okay, so I've come back to line number 15. Now what is line number 15 doing? It's again calling the function. So the same function is called by main twice. Okay. So what is happening now in this scenario? C's value is given to A. A's value is given to B. And B's value is given to C. So a lot of confusion here. Okay. There is no need to get confused. I will take you through it. Okay, so I am coming back to the function. Okay, so the function scope has come back. Now remember, this is the second time I call the function. So I write number 2, and this is again back to function scope. Okay, in function scope, what did A get? Let's write down slowly. Let us backtrack. What did A get? The value of C. And what's the value of C here? 8. So A gets the value 8. Okay. Then what did B get? B gets the value. Let's backtrack. B gets the value of local A. What's the value of local A? 2. So B gets the value 2. What did C get? Now you're sending the value of C. So you're not going to take the default value. You're sending a value to C. What did C get? The local value of B. What's the local value of B? If you see, it's 5. So C gets the value 5. Okay, fine. Okay, then what? Then what? I get into the function. Function says a is nothing but a plus b. So what is a? 8 plus 2. 8 plus 2 is nothing but 10. So a has become now 10. Okay. B is b plus c. So b is 2 plus 5. 2 plus 5 is nothing but 7. Now pay attention. I'd already explained how the c works. So it's b minus a. So what is b? 7. 7 minus a. So 7 minus 10 is minus 3. Minus 3 multiplied by c is minus 15. So I have got C as now minus 15. Now it says display the value of A, B and C. So what should it be displaying? It should be displaying 10 with a hash, okay, hash, then 7 with a hash, and C is what? Minus 15 with a hash. Okay. After that, I come back to the place from where it was called. So I come back to line number 16. Now line number 16 is also expecting me to display A, B, C, but with a separator as at the rate. But the A, B, C that line number 16 is talking about is the global scope. So what's the global scope? You have two, with the mouse, the at the rate sign. I hope it's understood. At the rate, then you have 5 with the at the rate sign. Oh, not bad. Okay. And then you have 8 with the at the rate sign. Okay. So this is the output of this particular question. Okay. Let's just verify. Okay. Let's cross our fingers. Let's see whether, oh, okay. Sorry, I cleared it before executing the program. Okay. So let's cross our fingers and check. Oh, yes, the quotes there is not in the proper format. Okay. Yes, the answer is 10 hash 18 hash 80. Wow, we've got that. 10 hash 7 hash minus 15. We've got that too. And then 2 at the rate 5 at the rate 8. So we have got that too. Okay. The small error that it was showing you previously was I had typed this in Word and then I've pushed it here. Okay. So the quotes in Word and the quotes in Python look a little different. So that it had an issue with the quotes there. Is that clear? I hope this program is also clear to you. So we've done 4 programs, okay? And I hope by now things about the functions, how it works, how the calculations can be done. I hope all this is clear. Okay? Okay, now this is the last function, output question that I'm doing with you. Okay, so let's just concentrate and start. So now, like we said, we are not going to be looking at the function at all. We're directly going to be looking at line number 10 because that's the first line that is outside the function definition, which means global scope. So what is this line basically doing? It's creating a variable, a list basically named as num. And what are the elements of the list? Elements of the list are 10, 23, 14, 54 and 32. Okay. Like the string, even elements of the list have index number associated with it. So let me just write it. So this is at index number 0, this is at 1, this is at 2, this is at 3, and this is at 4. Okay, perfect. So I have given index numbers to all the elements in the list. Now I come to the next line. It says for CNT in range. Okay, so let me see what will the range function do. This range function is a reverse function or a backward range function. It will start at 4 and come backwards. So what are the values a range function will generate? It will generate 4, then it will generate 3, then it will generate 2, then it will generate 1, and it will not generate 0. Because whenever the ending number is 0, we have learned, it will not come up to the end. It will just stop at the number that is before 0. Okay, so in this scenario, because we're coming backward, the number before 0 happened to be 1. Okay, then so what is CNT going to be initially having? CNT is currently having value 4. Okay, let's look at this line. It says A is equal to num is the name of the list, square bracket CNT. So what is A's value? A is num square bracket 4. So what is the element at num of 4? We can see from the list the element at num of 4 is 32. So A gets the value 32. Fine. Okay. What does B get? Okay, let me just. B is equal to, so B is equal to, it says num again, so the name of the list, CNT minus 1. What is currently CNT? 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So B gets the value num of 3. And what is the number at num of 3? 54. So A got 32 and B got 54. So A got the last element and B got the second last element. Fine. Okay. What is the next line doing? It's calling a function named as diff. It's calling a function named as diff. And what is it doing? It's passing the value of A. It's passing the value of A to N1 and passing the value of B to N2. So we have to reach the function now. So let me reach the function. N1 gets the value of A. What's the value of A? 32. Okay. This is the first time the function is called. Okay. And N2 gets the value of B. What's the first value of, what's the value of B? 54. So N2 is equal to 54. Okay. Now I get into the function. It's checking if N1 is greater than N2. What is N1? 32. What is N2? 54. Is 32 greater than 54? No. So can I do the line right after if? No, I have to do the line right after else. Else it says return N2 minus N1. So you have to return 54 minus 32. What is 54 minus 32? 4 minus 2 is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. So the answer being returned is 22. That 22 is being returned to the print function. So what did I tell you? When you return an answer to the print function, what does it do? It directly displays the answer. So what does it display? It displays the answer 22. And after displaying, instead of going to the next line, it says end is equal to hash. So it leaves a hash sign. Okay. Now remember, we are in the loop. So now go back to the loop. CNT gets the next value. What is CNT's next value? 3. If CNT's value is 3, let's see what A gets. So A is nothing but num of CNT, num of 3. Num of 3 is 54. And B is nothing but num of CNT minus 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So B gets the value at location 2. What is the value at location 2? 14. Okay, fine. What is the next line doing? Calling the function once again. So this function is going to be called once again. Okay, so this is the second time I'm calling the function. And what is being passed? A's value to N1. So what is N1 going to get? N1 gets, sorry guys, this is not B. Yeah, N1 is going to get the value of, N1 is going to get the value of A. A is 54 and N2 is going to get, N2 is, okay, I by mistake wrote capital N1 there. N2 is going to get the value of B. B is 14. Okay, now get into the function. What is the function checking? If N1 is greater than N2. Is N1 greater than N2? Is 54 greater than 14? Yes. So you're supposed to return 54 minus 14. What is 54 minus 14? 4 minus 4 is 0. 5 minus 1 is 4. So it's returning 40. Back to the print function. So what will it do? It will display the answer 40. It will display the answer 40 followed by the hash sign. When I go back to the loop, the interesting part about this question is, the function is being called in a loop. Doesn't matter. We're just going to keep calling it. I go back to the for loop. CNT gets the next value. What is CNT's value? 2. If CNT's value is 2, let's see what's the value of A. A is going to get the value at CNT of 2. CNT of 2 is 14. And what is B going to get? B is going to get the value of CNT of 2 minus 1, that is CNT of 1. So it's getting 23. Okay, what is happening now? Again, I'm calling the function. Passing values are the same. So now let's see what values do N1 and N2 get. The third time I called, N1 got the value of A, which is 14, and N2 gets the value of B, which is 23. I get into the function and I check, is N1 greater than N2? N1 is not greater than N2. So it says return N2 minus N1. So when you return N2 minus N1, what do you have to return? 23 minus 14, 3, you cannot take away 4. So you're going to be carrying 1. So it's 13 minus 4. What is 13 minus 4 going to be? 9. And, 2 got cancelled, so basically it's 9. So 23 minus 14 is going to give you 9, and 9 gets displayed. 9 gets displayed with a hash sign. Okay, after that you go back to the loop. CNT gets value 1. Again, what did the variables A and B get? A and B got, so A got the value of CNT of 1, which is 23, and B gets the value of CNT of 0. So CNT of 0 is nothing but 10. Again, this function is being called, and when this function gets called for the fourth time, what does N1 get? The value of A, which is 23. What does N2 get? The value of B, which is 10. Okay, I just wrote B is equal to, just excuse that. Okay, so B's value is 10, which is passed on to N2. Now it's checking if N1 is greater than N2. Is 23 greater than 10? It is. So you have to subtract 10 from 23. When you subtract 10 from 23, you get nothing but 13. So the next answer, which gets returned to the print function, is 13. So it displays a 13 with a hash sign. Okay. Then when I go back to the loop, I realize that there are no more values CNT can take, and I'm done with the loop and I'm done with the program. Okay. So let's just check, execute, and just check whether we're going right. It's 22 hash, 40 hash, 9 hash, 13 hash. Yes. When we get something right, the excitement, within us motivates us to do more. Even if you don't get it right, do it once again, do it once again. Once you start like coding, you will just love it. Okay. So I hope, guys, you understood this chapter called Functions in Python. In the first two parts of the video, I explained the concepts to you, and in the third part, I have done some board-related questions and not board-related questions, which uses methods in functions. And now I did, I think, about 5 output questions with you. So I'm sure you are confident in this chapter, and you will be able to handle any question that is given to you for the board examination. You may watch this video multiple times, you may pause, you may make notes. That's up to you. That's up to your interest in the subject. Okay, so I hope it was beneficial to you, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me. Thank you.